And I'm just going to lead with it. We were just kind of talking about it. The dentist stinks
Yeah.
because, like, I hate it. I had a crown. I had to get a crown on one of my teeth. I'm not sure why I needed a crown, but they told me I needed a crown. So they did this work last week, and they Novocaine me up, and they started working, and then it wasn't enough, so they had to do more. So I'm sitting there for like an hour and a half just for them to do this temporary crown. Then apparently that doesn't hold completely, so watch out because it can come off. And sure enough, my crown came off last night. So now I have I guess, an exposed tooth, and I guess I have to go now. I have to wait 3 weeks for the real crown to come in, but now I have this temporary crown that I have to now find time to go back to the dentist to have them put it in.
It's the worst, Dave. I'm sorry for your experience. The dentist is, I think, there's few things that can unite America. Um, One of them, I think, is probably a generally common dislike of the dentist. It's just nobody comes out of the dentist thinking I just had a great experience, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're monkeying around with your mouth, you're holding your mouth open too long. There's drills and weird smells when they're working on you. You're like, what's going on over here? What are you doing? They're selling you stuff you don't know that you need. It's kind of like when you take your car to the mechanic. You like unless you know about your car, you don't know what if they tell you something's broken, it's broken. If dentist says you need a crown, you need a crown. And it's just I think it's probably America's least liked doctor. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's people out there that hate the podiatrist or whatever else people go to. I don't know, but I think generally speaking, no offense to any dentist who might be listening, but I think America can pretty much say they hate the dentist the most.
Yeah, look, it's not I mean, there's a lot of good dentist bits. There's the anti-dentite thing from Seinfeld. Then there was the Brooklyn Nine-Nine about whether a dentist is really a doctor type of
Yeah.
thing. And so it's not because there's not partially true. Like, the jokes are there because that's probably partially true in what most people are thinking, or a lot of people are thinking. So nothing against dentists, especially the one who's going to have to put my crown back on later today or tomorrow. But it is just a frustrating experience, Andy. You mentioned something about the auto dealers too. Like, that's the other thing, is you used to be able to know, the cars are so sophisticated now, or they're so interconnected. One, you need $125 just to examine what the problem is going to be, and then, or have the computer tell you what the problem is going to be, and then you have to then pay for the fix that you don't really know if it's real or not. The fix is how much is there. There's an interesting I listened to some TED Talk a little while ago, and I think the move towards so many of these things, like whether it's smart refrigerators and smart devices all over, is it kind of forces you to, yeah, like, a refrigerator really just keeps stuff cold, right?
Yeah.
But yet we have all these interconnectivity type of things. If your technology breaks on your refrigerator, does that mean you have to replace the refrigerator when it still keeps everything cold? Well, you may think you have to. Like, there's this need to, the only way to get things fixed is to take it to the service person,
Yeah.
as opposed to trying to do it yourself or something like that. Anyways, I'm going off on a wild, you cut me off on a wild tangent.
Hey, it's all right, Jason. You got to run down that path. Just bring up Seinfeld and Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a path. Also, those are both great shows. We've talked Seinfeld before, but I still love every Seinfeld clip I see.
Yeah.
Every little video and reel I see. The anti-dentite is great. And I forget the actor who played the dentist, but he did a great job in that role. He played the perfectly obnoxious dentist in that role. And Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I don't want to say it's an underappreciated show because I think it was very popular and people did like it, but it was a really fun show.
Yeah, that was a great show. What wasn't Bryan Cranston the dentist? I can't remember. There's so many.
Oh,
Bryan Cranston played a role in Seinfeld. I can't remember what exactly it was. But it's kind of fun to see him Breaking Bad as a dentist. I think that's what he was. I think he was a dentist. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, definitely an underappreciated TV show. So
yeah.
definitely unappreciated. Andy, we're going to talk a little TV later. We got a couple things to go through, but did want to start off with some politics. Obviously the assassination attempt led right into the Republican National
Yeah.
Convention. Andy, I kind of feel like everyone's moved on from the assassination attempt. I mean, obviously the investigation is still going. It wasn't like there's this big conspiracy. The biggest thing we see is the Trump bandage on his ear. It looks like a pillow. But and I think a lot of people at the RNC are, or the convention are, wearing a mock, band-aid on their ear to show solidarity with the former president. But it seems like they've moved on since that already. So
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting the way it went into the RNC. I think a lot of people felt, I'm not sure what the right word is, but sort of empathy. I mean, maybe for the former president. I mean, he was almost murdered, right? I mean, it's
yeah.
terrible. And I think while there's some crazy nonsense, right, going on, and people talking about conspiracies and everything else, most rational Americans were like, hey, this was bad, and no one deserves to be shot. And there was sort of a brief rallying of unity that, hey, this was a bad thing. But going right into the convention, and I mean, you guys say the Republicans are trying to sort of use it in a way that is so far unifying, calming, right? Not further divisive. Although that's there too. I mean, it's there too. But like there was a bounce for the former president, not as big as some expected. Going right into the RNC, where there's always a bounce for somebody in their conventions, right? They always come out with higher numbers out of their pep rallies. You almost wonder if it not that you want to be shot, right? It's not a way you want to raise your poll numbers, but if it kind of just blends together. And it's July, Dave. It's July. So I mean, you listen to a lot of Democrats right now. A lot of people like really down, and like they've resigned themselves to the fact that Donald Trump has won the presidency. It's July, and there's a lot that's going to happen. So I think there's a Trump bump. I think there's a poll most recently. There's one that had a pretty small one that came out somewhere here in Virginia. I think it showed a 3-point lead for Mr. Trump right now. But then there's the fall that comes after that peak, and then there's the Democrats convention. And if Mr. Biden, does a good job, that he's going to get. It's still there's still so much going on. So I think it's interesting to see this cycle play out. And I think you're right. I think sort of the convention, the VP announcement, the rallying and unity is sort of blending all this together into one big thing.
Yeah, it's been fascinating to watch this play out. So yeah, you're right. At the end of the convention, everyone usually gets a bump. And we'll see what that looks like as you go through. I mean, we have had they've been rolling out the Republican speakers this week. It's Tim Scott talking about how we thank God that Trump is alive still. We had Nikki Haley last night talking about you don't have to like the person to vote for Trump, and necessarily you don't always have to agree with him. And then you had Ron DeSantis, who this guy is just, I mean, it's just a clown all around. But Andy, a couple things that did come out. Trump made his vice presidential nomination or pick, JD Vance from Ohio.
Yeah.
He famously wrote a book back in 2016. He had a rough upbringing, Andy. I mean, he had a tough upbringing. So he wrote this thing called Hillbilly Elegy. It was in 2016, talking about that upbringing. But famously, he said in there he was openly critical and actually once described him as America's Hitler. I go back and forth between thinking Trump is a cynical asshole like Nixon, who wouldn't be that bad and might even prove useful, or that he's America's Hitler. So that's what he wrote on to somebody on Facebook. Yeah, look, I mean, JD Vance, it was either going to be JD Vance or, what's the other, Marco Rubio. I don't know. I don't particularly think the big thing is Vance is really young. He's in his 30s.
Yeah.
And so maybe this is the passing of the torch of the MAGA movement once Trump leaves. That's the only thing I can think of at this point, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot of ways he could go. It seemed like Vance was rising in appeal, to Mr. Trump. I think there was a post, I can't remember where, maybe the day before the convention. There's like get to know JD Vance right before the official announcement. Um, I don't want to jump. I don't know him well, right? But what I've seen of him, one, he seems to really be an interesting choice in that he oftentimes vice presidents are picked to bring in a part of the party or nation that maybe the president isn't appealing to, right? So, you bring in somebody from the South if you're from the North, or in the case of, Vice President Pence, you bring in somebody who's got a strong religious affiliation, whereas Mr. Trump did not. Vance seems to be saying, "Hey, I know who I am, Donald Trump, and I'm going to give you more of the same, right? So like all in on what I'm selling, which is a bold move, right? It's I saw one commentator say it's a decision of a very confident nominee, right? Trump is saying, we're going to win, I'm going to win. America wants more of this, and JD Vance is the closest I can find to more of this. And I think that might be true, right? He's not a career politician. He's a young guy. He brings in a person who really represents a lot of who Trump appeals to and has been trying to appeal to, that disgruntled, traditionally Democratic voter, that working man American. And so I think it's a good pick for where Trump is and what he wants to do. I don't know that I personally care for the pick. What I've seen of JD Vance is an openness to authoritarianism, like Mr. Trump's, a willingness to suppress speech and things of that nature, such as online activity. He's very aggressive against Section 230. He's for things that can, I think, harm our ability to have public discourse. What I've seen so far, he's not appealing to me personally. He's all the concerns I have with Trump and some of the Republican Party today. But for Trump voters, I think it's probably a great pick. Will that help him win the election? I don't know if it helps him win the election. Vance wasn't like hugely popular in Ohio when he won. I don't know that he's going to bring Ohio to Donald Trump, but I think he's going to definitely solidify those that are Trump voters, even more so. So, I mean, it's an interesting choice for Mr. Trump, and maybe not at all a bad one for him. I just wanted to broaden his appeal to anybody else.
Yeah, I don't think it really. I agree. I think he's doubling down on who he is, and that's that piece. To your point, Vance has only been a senator for 2 years. I mean, he's kind of like the Obama route where he gets into office and is immediately thrust into it. So we'll see if he can capture that moment. He'll have a speech later this week. Is it? I don't know if it's tonight or yeah. I think usually
Yeah,
Wednesday
yeah,
nights are
yeah.
the vice presidential speech, and then Trump will speak on Thursday. So see what he how he chooses there. Interesting. Trump did meet with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to try to seek an endorsement from him. That didn't go anywhere. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. RNC wraps up later tomorrow, and then they're off. Then running on that front. So we'll get going on that part. Andy, we can hear the music, but you can't hear it. The listener can't
You
hear it.
can't, yeah, listeners are not given the blessing that we get when our timer hits. I'm sorry, listener, that you don't get to enjoy that, Dave.
It's like a sweeping thing. It's like almost like I
Closing
don't know.
credits.
It kind of feels like Hunger Games this, when they cut in and give you an update on what's happening around the time. So
Can I share one more quote just as we wrap
yeah.
up that section? Just Matt Welch, senior editor at Reason Magazine, wrote about the Vance pick just yesterday, and he's just got a line in here that I think is very true. For all of us that are Gen X and older, that grew up with a decades of Reagan republicanism, and he just writes simply, again, this is not your father's GOP. And I think this Vance pick, unlike Pence, really solidifies this is a new Republican Party, and the fight for that Reagan legacy is over. Like that party does not exist anymore, and so it creates a new dynamic in American politics because there's still a lot of people that yearn for something like that, and so I think Matt Walsh is right on that. That this definitely is not your father's GOP. This is not the GOP of the '80s, '90s, and noughts. It's really Donald Trump's party, and it's going to be an interesting way to see how this plays out in the future. And maybe JD Vance is the guy to carry MAGA forward.
Yeah, hey, for everybody who I mean, I know this is a Gen X podcast, so you grew up with Reagan. If you forgot what Reagan is all about, go back and watch some of the clips of some of his speeches. I mean, he was masterful. I mean, this is a masterful politician. Some people are going to disagree with his politics. They can say this is how we got to where we are today with trickle down economics and all this other stuff. But the reality is, if you want to talk about individuals who I think were unifying in many respects, he was. And so but we're far from that, and as I am as well. So okay, Andy, let's go into our next series of topics. Let's go through a lot of big entertainment news the last couple days, Andy. A couple big trailer drops for movies that are coming out. We'll talk about those here in a minute. But I wanted to, I've been watching The Acolyte, and so that wrapped up last night. Uh, I don't know. Look, I'm trying to stay away from the Discord on any of the socials because you either love it or hate it or not in between. I guess I'm in between. The season finale, I thought the season was pretty good, but the ending just they Disney cannot close any of these endings. They just can't. Whether it's a Marvel TV show or one of the TV shows from the only one that really did well was Andor. Mandalorian, the first two seasons was good, but that was a different type of formula. This is trying to again connect all the pieces together and do all these things. You had some teases. I'm not going to spoil for anybody who didn't watch since it was last night. There were some good teases. There's definitely going to be a second season. I didn't care for the way they wrapped up the story. So maybe they'll try to pull it together. It's kind of a letdown, but it is what it is. I know you didn't watch, Andy. Are you going to go back and watch, you think?
I think I'll probably go back and watch it at some point. That's what I did with the last season of Mandalorian. I watched it late and just kind of binged through the whole thing and took it in that way. So I think I probably will eventually catch up to it. But I'll be honest, I'm not excited to do it. Like I'm not needing to do it. So
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think that's where like not being excited about something is like, yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it, right? So I am watching House of Dragon. That's been pretty good this year. But let's talk some movies here, Andy. Let's This week I think was the 40th anniversary of one of your favorite movies.
yeah.
You referenced it on a podcast or a podcast, The Last Starfighter. Any good memories of The Last Starfighter, Andy? I'm disappointed there weren't sequels there.
Yeah, it's interesting that there never was a sequel to that one. I mean, it was a big movie, Dave. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it is. You're right. It's the 40-year anniversary. It came out on July 13th, 1984. Back when sci-fi movies were, I think, bigger. There's just more of them. They were exciting. I think there's less general interest in that today than there was, and it was just such a cool one, right? I mean, the boy playing video games. He's taken up into space. He's fighting the bad guys. It was super fun. I think everybody in our generation probably saw this movie. It was a powerful one. It was exciting and it's fun. I think it's really representative of that time. That mid '80s movie sort of genre. It did well. When it came out. I mean, it was Dave. Just take it back, right? 1984. Two things we often talk about in this podcast. One, it was 101 minutes, perfect, right? An hour and a half and change. Dave, it was a $15 million budget, as opposed to
Yeah.
the insane shows that come out now. So I think if somebody's never seen it, it's a really fun movie. It's definitely dated, from the hairstyles to the video games, everything that goes with it. But it's still fun. It's still good. It's cheesy special effects now, but seeing him take off in his cool starship, seeing the battles, seeing the aliens, it was just really fun. So when I saw that, I thought it was a really fun memory to realize it's been, it is 40 years. Growing up, that was a frequent sleepover movie, for me. I still remember one of my older brother's sleepovers where everybody hung out and we all got excited watching The Last Starfighter. And I just think I don't know if that happens as much today. I don't know if kids get together and just watch movies and stay up late having fun like that. It's they're all on their phones and
They're on
you
the
know
phones.
games, and all that. So it's a different time. But it was a great movie. A happy anniversary, Last Starfighter, and I'm sure some of the folks listening to this podcast remember that and had their own memories.
Yeah, it was a cool story. Like, hey, he played the video game, and because he did so well, he was selected to come to be a pilot. It was really cool. Definitely do that. So then, a couple other movie trailers dropped. Andy, Captain America: Brave New World. I
Yeah.
gotta say, there's been a lot of buzz about how this movie has been a disaster and all this other stuff had to do a lot of rewrites. I think that's commonplace for these movies nowadays. But the trailer looked, I thought it was pretty awesome. Definitely upgrade on the Captain America costume from the TV show, which was a disaster. And Anthony Mackie looks really strong. So, thoughts on the Captain America trailer?
I'm excited about it. I liked the series that ran on Disney. I thought it was good. I think he's a really good pick. I mean, we all came to love Chris Evans as Captain America. He played that role great, and I think Mackie picks up the role really well. He's a different Captain America. Right? He brings a different attitude. He's a different guy. He's got a different perception, but he's a fighter, and I think he plays the role really well. The whole Falcon piece is kind of goofy, right? Captain America flying around with wings is goofy, but that's from the comics. So it stays true to the comics in that sense. But I think this looks great. I think he's going to be a really fun story. They've introduced Red Hulk. You've got Harrison Ford, playing President Ross. I think it's going to be a good show. I'm excited for this. With Deadpool and Wolverine, and this coming out in February, maybe Marvel can get themselves back on track with some fun, good movies that don't exhaust us. And I think Anthony Mackie is going to do that here in this movie.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I'm excited for it. Again, I mean, my favorite Marvel movie is Captain America: Winter Soldier. That's where Anthony Mackie came into it with
Yeah,
Falcon. But I think it's the best Marvel movie, period. I think it's better than Endgame and all those other ones. But I was excited about that. So Andy, another big one, and this is a favorite for you. Terminator. Zero Terminator Zero is it. It debuted with its first trailer as well, Andy. I didn't even know. I thought Terminators were done. I haven't really watched after T2. I kind of watched a little the Christian Bale one, but this is still going. This is a strong franchise still. So Terminator Zero feeds into all your fears about Skynet, Andy.
yeah, I eat it up, Dave. It comes out on August 29th, which Terminator fans will know is Judgment Day. So I think that's pretty cool, pretty fun. And it's an animated series, which is a different turn for the show. Who knows what they're going to do with it? I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to come out on Netflix, and Netflix going to get into more animation, and so we're going to see where it goes. But it's exciting. I actually liked all the Terminator movies. I know some people really hate them, but I think they were all well done and they were all fun in their own way. I didn't mind the Terminator reset, in the last Arnold movie, but this should be really good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I enjoy what Terminator is trying to say, and it's hard not to see how some of that plays out. But that kind of a couple things. Let's go into a little bit here on the slide. This is a little bit of a mixed bag here. It's not a grab bag because I want to talk sports, but I also do want to talk this AI stuff. When you see the T2 or Terminator stuff, you think of Skynet and AI dominating the world. And it's hard, when you see all the news about all the things AI is doing, then you see the robot development that is being done all over the world, whether it be China, the United States, and shooting dogs and all the stuff that we've talked about on this show. Goldman Sachs came out this week, Andy, and said, "Hey, look, this is not going to be as big as people think it is. I mean, AI has a limited view because, like, in order for to be good, you have to keep ingesting data and like." How much data are we going to produce every year to feed these machines? Plus, it costs a lot to do AI. It costs a lot to do AI. So that came out this week. Any thoughts on that, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. I think Sachs
Yeah.
also pushed back on cryptocurrency. If I recall, I think it was Goldman Sachs who did that, and I think it's sort of a hype rejection, right? And I mean, like, look, AI does have an incredible amount of potential. There are things you can do with AI that are great and useful, but the sort of everything AI all the time have to drop Gen AI into every conversation type. There's a lot of nonsense too, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
useless applications of AI that are okay. Hey, cool, like cool AI art, I guess. There's a whatever dinosaur eating a burger on the moon or whatever somebody comes up with, but like who cares? Who cares? I mean, so there is a lot of good that will come out of AI. There is utility in it when it's built well, designed deliberately, it can be functional. We use it all the time, in work, but it has to be applied smartly. and there is just so much hype and hype inflation about it. It's inflating stocks. People are so excited about it. They want to add AI into everything, like it's catch up. And I think Goldman Sachs saying, hey, like it does cost a lot. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of resources. And what the hell are you really doing with it, right? What's really the output here? And from a financial standpoint, where's the ROI? And I think those are all fair questions to ask, right? But look, when something new comes out, we get excited about it, and then it matures, right? The internet matured, radio matured, everything develops over time. So AI is going to continue to progress. Are we looking at Ultron in 5 years? Hopefully not. Will Skynet eventually win? Probably. So we'll see where it ends up.
Yeah, all fun. I mean, it is interesting. I mean, AI has been around for a long time. People have been using some sort of AI to help them in a long time. But you're right, the tagging of AI, it's just because you put something and say, "Hey, I got AI," doesn't mean it's automatically a better product.
Yeah.
And so okay. So Andy, wanted to talk about that. Also, Andy, I know you're not a huge baseball fan. I am, but two big thing this week was the All-Star game. So you have the home run derby, and then you have the actual game. There's two comments I want to make here, and I don't think they're very unpopular opinions. One, fucking the All-Star game uniforms are an atrocity. Baseball used to have it where you made the All-Star team as whatever your team is. Every team had an All-Star, so that I always like that. And then they would all wear their uniforms that they have to the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Um, Now Nike, because of course they want to sell more jerseys, they now have the All-Star uniforms. And everyone just Google these. If you don't watch baseball, it doesn't matter. Google these uniforms. They're fucking atrocious. And yet this is what they have to wear. It takes away from this game that used to be I mean, look, the All-Star games are what they are. Playing in the middle of the year. We've talked about All-Star Pro Bowls and all that other stuff. It's just a joke, but this is an atrocity. So
Those do look like crap, Dave. I just brought it up. I mean, is it supposed to be like a throwback type style? It's
no,
garbage.
no, there's no throwback that looks that ugly, Andy. I mean, they're just ugly colors. I mean, the American League was orange and like tan. I don't even know what that is. And then the National League was black and blue, and the hats are disgusting. Look, let's Major League Baseball stop trying to fucking make a dollar off of everything and go back to what it used to be. Just for the fan, do something for the fans. Please, just do something for the fans. That was one. The other big story out of the All Star, Andy, was the home run derby was on Monday night, and they changed up the rotation on how they do that. A home run derby is like the slam dunk contest. It's supposed to be the biggest event. All great. Gunnar Henderson from the Orioles was in. He didn't do so well, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
National Anthem was what got the news, Andy. The individual who sang the National Anthem, I didn't watch this live. I just started seeing it pop up on the socials as this is the worst National Anthem ever. And then I heard the National Anthem, and it is confirmed. It is the worst National Anthem
Terrible.
ever.
Terrible.
So the singer who sang it came out yesterday and said she was drunk on the national anthem, and
Yeah.
that's why it sounded so bad. And Andy, she's also going to be entering rehab. Did you see any stories around this?
Dave, I saw it and I played the video because I really went to hear. I was like, are people just bashing this, being typical jerks online, right? Hate filled. Dave, it was something else. I mean, it was horrible. It was, I mean, man, like it really sucked. It was terrible. It was terrible.
What I thought was even more terrible, Andy, was that her apology really sucked too.
Yeah.
And I think she really blew it there as well. I mean, I don't know who this singer is, but it was bad. So I'm just gonna read what it says because it was short. I'm not gonna bullshit y'all. I was drunk last night. I'm checking myself into a facility to get the help I need. That was not me last night. I apologize to the MLB, all the fans in this country I love so much for that rendition. I'll let you all know how rehab is. I hear it's super fun. What the fuck? I
Yeah.
hear like you're trying to make light of what you did. I hear like I'm gonna go to rehab. I hear it's really fun. Hey, say you're fucking sorry. and you're checking yourself into rehab and be gone. I hope we never hear from this person again.
Yeah, and it's not like she's a kid, right? I think she's in her 30s, so she's not like
Yeah.
this isn't like a 19-year-old being a silly 19-year-old. This is an adult woman. It was really bad. It reminded me too, this isn't sadly the first time this happened this year, right? I mean, back in January at Dolly Parton's, I think it was her 78th birthday tribute. Ellie King, who some folks might know some of her songs. She has some good songs that I actually enjoy, but she showed up there drunk and did a piss poor performance. And same thing, afterwards, apologies. Hey, sorry, I tried to ruin your birthday, Dolly Parton. It's like get a hold of yourselves, ladies, right? I mean, like whoever you are, whatever your age, whatever your gender, whatever your genre, like have a little bit of respect for either the artist you're trying to honor, for our nation, and the game you're performing at. Like these are great opportunities for not like super famous artists, right? These are great opportunities for them, and to show up drunk and perform lousy and disrespectfully, like come on, man, really poor. But this was a really bad moment for her and for the game. Embarrassing, and I hope others look at it and recognize it. It's really a privilege to be selected to sing at these events. They should
Yeah.
honor the game in our country when they get that opportunity.
Yeah, really bad performance there. I mean, we famously Roseanne Barr is the gold
Oh,
standard, I guess, for
yeah.
bad national anthems, but this was bad too. So, all right, Andy, it's a good run through on Wednesday. We had a lot to talk about today, so that was good.
There's a lot going on, Dave. It's summer 2024. There's a whole lot going on. So when we get back together, Donald Trump will have made his big speech. He'll, officially be the nominee of his party, marching forward to destiny, whatever that is. And we should have more to talk about. So sorry for the crown. Sorry if to enjoy more time with your best friend, the dentist, but appreciate the conversation. And just thanks to anybody that's listening. I've really enjoyed the comments and the feedback, and I always appreciate people, sharing their ideas, and it's good, Dave. So yeah, I covered a lot of ground, a diverse set of topics for today's Men of a Certain X.
Yeah, yeah, and I think all very good. It'll be interesting to see how the Democrats continue to go from this point on after Thursday. So, because what hasn't been the talk of the town, Andy, is should Biden step down? They're stuck, Andy. I think they're stuck. So, all right, Andy, that'll wrap up today. We'll catch up with you next time.